Well, you just watched the War Room because you've been editing it. So what do you reckon?
I've got Jack. I don't really like Strickland anyway. That's why I picked Jack.
Yeah.
But
you did say though after we'd recorded the War Room that you were a little bit more interested in this fight now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Because I can see Strickland winning for sure, and I do think his overwhelming pressure and his striking, and like you said, Hermansson against Vettori, similar situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other one as well is Hermansson against Cannonier.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, Cannonier's a terrifying puncher, and Hermansson did not look comfortable once he'd been hit a couple of times. You know, like there was a clear panic to get the fight to the floor. Like when he fought Jacare and Mershart, I don't know, he was far more willing to try and strike. Like, I mean, I've seen him early in his career, as I talked about in the War Room. You know, when he was fighting on Cage Warriors. Like, I remember being at the Alan Carlos fight, and he has got good boxing, but he has to have confidence to back it up. And I think he's had his confidence shaken a couple of times in the UFC with his striking. You know, getting stopped by Santos and, you know, obviously the Cannonier fight kind of worked against him, and then Vettori kind of walked him down and beat him up a bit. You know, it wasn't a pleasant experience for him. And my thought is that Strickland could quite easily replicate that. The difference is Strickland's more difficult to predict than Marvin Vettori.
Yeah.
You know? Like, yeah. I actually think that would be a really interesting fight. I'm not much of a fan of Strickland either, as you know. I think his style's kind of ugly and a little bit limited. But then again, you know, Marvin Vettori, for as fun as he is to watch, his style's quite limited as well in some ways. Strickland might be the smarter of the two, though, fight IQ-wise, when it comes to him and Vettori. And I don't think that bodes well for Hermansson. I would like to see Hermansson, honestly, fan speaking, I would like to see Hermansson be able to take him down with that spinning trip that he used against David Branch, clamp onto his neck and choke him.
Yeah.
Sean Strickland's never been submitted.
No.
I don't think he's going to be easy to take down. It's like 82% takedown offense. I think he's going to be a motherfucker to get to the floor. And I think he's going to be hard to hold down as well. You know, he was one of Bisping's sparring partners, and if he wasn't tough enough to go through rounds, Bisping wouldn't have brought him in.
Thing is with Hermansson, I think if he can like you're saying about confidence, if he can be confident to give back whatever Strickland's, if he can match him like strike for strike, I think that's the only way. Really, it's annoying because I do want Hermansson to win, but I can't picture it in my head.
No. The other tricky thing with Strickland's style, just going off what you've just said, is if Hermansson tries to match Strickland's pace, he won't be doing it with the same amount of power. Because Strickland doesn't put that much power into stuff, which is why he can throw however many punches he does around. It's quite a lot. He has a high work rate, and I think if Hermansson goes punch for punch with him, he'll try harder with each one of his punches, and he'll get tired quicker.
Yeah,
and that's where Strickland's style comes in, and he's such a benefit because he kind of plods. You know, it's a trickle. You know, Sean Strickland. You know, it's just like you know, it's like trying to fall asleep with a tap dripping on your head. It's kind of how I'd imagine it.
He's got that like Kevin Holland constantly talking and like pissing people off as well. Yeah. And I don't know, as you said, if Hermansson's confidence is, Hermansson's a nice guy, isn't he? He's not one to be like going back on stuff like that.
No, he won't be chatting back and forth for sure.
He'll just be smiling and just like, let's fight. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Hermansson's also got really good ground and pound. So if he is able to get it to the ground, then that's where his striking comes in. But I don't think he manages the striking very well against Strickland. I really don't. I have a bad feeling for him going into this one.
Do you think he should take the route of what he did against Gastelum then? Is just to kind of look for that and attack it?
I mean, he could, but the difference between the two, and I can expand on this a little bit because I mentioned it in the War Room. Like Gastelum's, he's not where Sam Alvey is, but he's on his way there. You know what I mean? He's a much higher echelon of a middleweight that's kind of had it. You know, like I don't feel like he's got the same kind of motivation. I mean, I've always kind of questioned Calvin's motivation a bit because he is really a welterweight. And I do feel like if he wanted to really optimize himself in the modern day of MMA, he could have done without those additional few calories for a little while, while he was fighting. I think he would have been really effective at welterweight. Like, even now, I wouldn't mind seeing Kelvin Gastelum go back down to welterweight. Like, you could put him straight in there against Colby Covington for me. Yeah. And I think that's a winnable fight for Gastelum, for sure. In the middleweight division, though, I don't know. I feel like he's a little bit given up because all these guys are getting fucking bigger and stronger and faster, and and he is looking more like a fat welterweight every time he gets in there. And with the Hermansson fight, I mean, he knows how to escape a heel hook. He knew what Hermansson was doing. He knew he was setting him up. Strickland won't give him that time to do it. He'll be defending those ankle attacks and punching him in the face. So I think there's more of a risk in Hermansson trying to sub him off his back than anything. If I was Hermansson, I would be focused on using a tight guard and good head movement, and I would move forward on Strickland because we hardly ever see him get pushed back. I would push him back, I would put him against the fence, and I would take him down as quickly as possible. And I would just hit him as he's getting back up and keep taking him down. I'm just putting him in that cycle, Similar to what DC does to people, but Hermansson being much more focused on ground and pound.
Yeah.
That's the way I can see Hermansson winning. If I was in his corner, if I was in his team, that's the way I would have trained him for this fight.
Yeah. I think, as well, the toughness of Sean Strickland. Because I feel like if, like, Jack Hermansson caught Kelvin with that heel hook, and I know you mentioned in the war room, it's like a panic. Like, as soon as someone latches onto it, it's like panic shit, get me out. But I think Strickland, just based off his personality and who he is as a fighter, I think he'll just be like, take my leg, I'll beat the shit out of you.
For sure, mate, for sure. He's a bit like Stifler off American Pie, isn't he? Like, he might even heel hook himself as a party trick just to entertain people and destroy his fucking knee. He's a bit of a madman like that. Yeah. I agree. I think I keep coming back to it. I think Hermansson's best route to victory is ground and pound.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the point where he can really land some heavy shots. He is a powerful puncher, but because he's always in the air when he's on his feet, he's not sitting down on anything, so he's not hitting with impact. I think Sean Strickland's going to walk him down and beat him up.
I can see that happening, but I'm going with my heart this week. Do it. I'm going to go for Jack.
Do it. I'm going logic, and I'm going to hate doing it, but I think Sean Strickland's going to beat him by decision. And I'll probably watch it on Sunday morning because I will not be staying up to watch Sean Strickland do that to Hermansson. I won't do it. I'll keep my fingers crossed for a highlight of Hermansson TKOing him on my Sunday morning Instagram and coffee.